Welcome, Husker Nation, and today I'm going to break down the Tennessee versus Nebraska Music City Bowl game, and I'm going to give my final prediction for that bowl game. Now, just a heads up, up to this point, as of now when I'm recording this video, Tommy Armstrong has yet to practice, so I'm assuming he's going to be out for this game. So going forward for the rest of this video, I'm assuming that Carriker Fife's going to be our starting quarterback. Now, real quick, before I get into that, I want to talk about this awesome shirt I've got on. You probably noticed I have some pretty freaking cool shirts that I've worn so far this year throughout the Carriker Chronicles, but this shirt's very special to me. My wife and I got married 10 years ago, and at our reception, this is the shirts that we wore. This is what my groomsmen wore at the reception and the bridesmaids. Now, let me explain it a little bit. Skull and crossbones, self-explanatory. Hey, I live this stuff, people. The A-team, Adam and Angie, were the A-team. Dun 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 dun. Probably only my older viewers will get that one, but that's okay. Phenomenal TV show. And on the back, hers said bride, mine says groom. I swear to God, if this thing comes down on me again, I'm gonna lay the spank down on all 5 of my children, and I'll do it too. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch my show from last Monday. My kids about wrecked the entire show, but we're gonna have our permanent backdrop in very soon. Crisis will be averted. But let's get back to the game at hand, Tennessee versus Nebraska. Now, I've got some stats, I don't have a lot. And the reason for that is when you got players like Tommy Armstrong, the most valuable player we have on offense is going to be out. Jordan Westerkamp, our best receiver, is going to be out. Nathan Gary, not only our best defensive player, but our best overall player is going to be out of the game. Another quarterback's going to be out of the game. Trey Bryant's iffy. Alonzo Moore is iffy. It almost feels like it's going to be Nebraska take the field, but it almost feels like it's going to be a different team taking the field, even though I know it's really not. So my point is, I feel like those stats almost don't apply. So I've got some, but not a ton throughout this video. As far as Gary being out, it's unfortunate. I wish him the best of luck when I spoke with him. But I am excited to see some of the younger safeties get an opportunity to play. Guys like Antonio Reed, guys who'll be playing for now and getting ready for next year in the future. It's funny, I hear people talk about how they're excited for next year to see what a pocket quarterback, a pocket passing quarterback can do in Mike Riley's offense. I've been one of those guys, but if you think about it, if Carriker Fife's starting this game, that's pretty much what he is. Now, he can run a little bit. I was surprised what he showed in that Maryland game. He can run, but that's what he is. Now, he wasn't recruited for this offense, but I'm excited because instead of being thrown in, hey, you're going to start Saturday, or you might start Saturday, you've got a couple, 3 days to get ready to start or maybe start. He's had a whole entire month to get ready for this game. So I'm excited to see what a pocket passing quarterback can do in Mike Riley's offense with some time to prepare. Now, the Volunteers might not be as excited to see a backup quarterback because over the past 15 years, some of their worst losses have come to a backup quarterback. So I don't know, maybe that plays in our favor, maybe it doesn't. I don't know, it depends on how you look at it. But I want to look at the Volunteers for a minute really quickly. Now, they've had a ton of injuries, especially on the defensive side of the ball this year, and they've been very up and down. You look at a team like Tennessee who's lost to Vanderbilt and South Carolina, 2 teams who barely eked into bowl games this year, and Tennessee was a preseason top 10 team. Tennessee's probably more athletic than we are, but I question whether they really want to be here because I've heard a lot of their players talking about, or seen articles, of their players talking about they're getting ready for the NFL, they're excited for the combine, they're excited to go to the league. So I'm wondering if instead of being focused on the pads, helmets, and the end that's going to be hitting them in the mouth, are their minds, come the Music City Bowl, going to be focused on their 40-yard dash, their vertical leap, and their bench press? Are they going to be thinking about other things? Even though they might be playing, they might not be focused. I mean, you think about guys like Leonard Fournette and Christian McCaffrey, who just said, I'm not going to play, I'm going to head on. And you know what, real quick, I'll give my take on that. I won't spend a bunch of time. But I looked at it, people ask me, so I'll spend just a couple minutes. So I look at it from a teammate's point of view, and I'm like, you know what, I'm happy for a guy like Leonard and Christian if they're my teammate. But I'm a little bit like, hey man, you're kind of leaving us out to dry a little bit. It's a little bit selfish. Now, if I'm an NFL GM, I'm looking at them like, wow, maybe they understand business, or maybe they're not team players. I don't know, that's something I would have to investigate if I was looking into drafting one of those guys. Now, it is a selfish move, let's be honest, it's a selfish move, but this is business versus team. Now, you got to keep in mind if I'm Christian McCaffrey or Leonard Fournette, Leonard Fournette was 50-50 whether he was going to play anyways, he's been banged up. I'm pretty much okay with Leonard doing it. With a guy like Christian McCaffrey and Leonard Fournette, you got to look at the cost versus reward. Because one more game isn't going to raise their draft stock or lower it a whole bunch, but they could get hurt. And so it's a selfish move, but the NFL is a selfish business. And I'm not saying they're bad or selfish guys. I'm just saying the NFL is a double standard, because NFL teams, I've seen them, pardon my language, screw over players. And nobody says boo. Nobody cares about that. But when players do something and they take care of themselves thinking about business, all of a sudden they're bad guys and selfish for it. It's a bit of a double standard. So I don't have a big problem with what they're doing. And it might be different if they were playing a New Year's Six or college playoff game, but they're not. Every bowl game matters, but let's be honest, some bowl games matter more than others. But none more matter more than the Music City Bowl. None. Not even the national championship. Booyah. All right. But let's, that really had nothing to do with this video, but I got one other thing that has nothing to do with this video. I just came across this random cool stat. Did you know that Mike Riley has been the coach in Nebraska for 2 years? I'm sure you knew that part. But did you know that he's the 6th most tenured coach in the Big Ten Conference? Wow, that makes you want to get into coaching, doesn't it? Anyways, let me get back to the game. So, Tennessee, they've won games with Hail Marys this year. As I said, they've lost some games they shouldn't have. They've won some games they got kind of lucky to win. They've had players leave. Their best running back left. They did say they're coming to prove doubters wrong. Now, that might be lip service or might be legit. As far as Nebraska, they should be motivated for this game. Just some of the losses down the stretch. They should want to atone for those. And they should want to, I don't know, get the wins back is a way to put it, but they should want to atone and get this win and get some momentum going into next year. Now, Nebraska is going to have to overcome some players being out, obviously. Now, let me break down this game offense and defense-wise, and I look at the Tennessee offense. Josh Dobbs, their quarterback, he's the catalyst on offense. He's not only their leading passer, he's their leading rusher as well. Tennessee's last 4 games of the regular season, they averaged 50.3 points per game. Now, they're going to be going against a Black Shirts defense that is pretty much overall, had a couple of rough games, but pretty much overall improved this year, the 21st ranked defense in the country. Our offense, the Nebraska offense, the last 4 games averaged 16.4 points per game. If that stat doesn't disturb you versus what Tennessee did, I don't know what will. But the Tennessee defense is disturbing as well, because they're extremely banged up. And against juggernauts, major juggernauts, like Kentucky and Missouri, they gave up over 400 yards rushing. So this could be a huge advantage for us. And this almost makes me think of UCLA in the Foster Farms Bowl last year, where we ran all over them. And it could help take pressure off for Riker 5, because I'm excited to see what he's going to do, but I don't exactly know how he's going to do. So if we can run the ball effectively, that would be huge, and that's something Tennessee struggled with. My keys to this game: number 1, motivation. Bowl game, you hear it every year, blah, blah, blah. No, it's not just because it's a bowl game, it's specific to this bowl game. Let's be honest, we're banged up, we got a lot of players out. Tennessee probably comes in a little bit more athletic to begin with, but if they're disinterested, if they don't want to be in this game, that's a huge advantage for us. And I'm not saying they have to be disinterested for us to win. I'm simply saying we should be fired up and motivated after the way things went down the stretch. And if their heads are elsewhere, this motivation is number 1 and premier in this game, in my opinion. Number 2, Riker Fife. Is it going to be the Riker Fife that showed up against Maryland this year, which played really, really well, or against Purdue a couple years ago when he struggled? To me, that's the second most important part of this game. Number 3, turnovers. Now, maybe you remember at certain points during the season, we actually led the entire country in interceptions, and turnovers were our calling card on defense at one point. I think forcing turnovers is going to be huge for Nebraska. And number 4, I also remember the 4th quarter was a huge advantage for us. The first 3 quarters, not so exciting, but that 4th quarter, it was always huge for us, and we need to get that back in this bowl game. Those are my 4 keys. And my prediction, unfortunately, I got to do something I've never done before in my entire career of doing the Carriker Chronicles, but I got to keep some form of objectivity. You know, I'm never completely objective because of who I am. You know, it's not 50-50, it's probably 60-40 in all honesty, but I got to try to keep objectivity. And I've got Tennessee eking this game out 34-27. I'm sorry, I'm so very ashamed. My deepest apologies. But keep in mind, Friday, immediately following the game, I will be giving my gut reaction within 30 minutes of the game on my Facebook, Twitter, and Husker Max. I will be posting just a couple minutes, 1 or 2 minutes, my gut reaction. It's my emotional reaction. Just a couple minutes long. Then Saturday morning, I will give my in-depth game breakdown. I'll gather myself and I'll break the game down in depth. I'll post that around 8 a.m., give or take, when the kids get me up on Saturday morning following the game. So until Friday and Saturday, go Big Red, and always remember to throw the bone.